What's up everybody, and welcome to my first MLW video. Today we're going to be talking about MLW players who have improved versus MLW players who have fallen off. And I have a pretty big disclaimer before we start, which is I have no hate to any of these players, especially the ones that I think have kind of fallen off this year. I still think that they can get better and improve, but you know, I'm just judging them based off of their performance so far in the 2023 season. And I think everyone in MLW is really cool, but I'm just talking about their performances on the field. So without further ado, here we go. Starting off, we have Sawyer Behen for the players that I think have fallen off. I don't know if fallen off is the best thing to use. It's more of a sophomore slump, I guess, but Behen's hitting has gotten dramatically worse than it was last year, and he's played the same amount of games pretty much than he did last year. And his pitching too has gotten worse as well. His ERA is worse, and his strikeouts are pretty bad too, considering that he's only played one less game this season than he did last year. Here are his stats. On the top is his stats from last year, and on the bottom are his stats from this year. And these stats don't really look good for somebody who was probably a top 3 rookie last year. And I'm not one of those people that just hates on Behen just because he gets excited and stuff like that. I actually like that he gets fired up in his games, but I feel like this year he's kind of been lacking some energy, and it's been kind of hurting him. Next one is kind of an obvious pick, and I hate to harp on this guy because he's so likable, but Daniel Schultz is just not having a good season at all. Last year, he batted around 320, 325, and this year he's averaging 182 at the plate. He has gotten struck out more times this year than he has last year, and he's played half as many games. He also only has half as many runs, which I guess makes sense, but the mound is where he's been really struggling. He has a 14.4 ERA compared to his 2.3 ERA last year, and has only thrown 7 strikeouts. Now, the beginning of the season was pretty rough for the Eagles, so I expect him to turn it around, just like kind of I expect the entire roster to turn it around, but it has not been an easy year for him, and it sucks because he's been so consistent throughout MLW, so he'll probably get back to it, but as of right now, I think this is probably his worst season to date. At number 3, I have Jordan Kurdi. And I know what you guys are probably thinking, was Jordan Kurdi ever really that good? But last year for the Magic, he was probably the best hitter that the Magic had. He was batting 214 from the plate, and this year he's only batting 111. He hasn't hit a home run in 2 years, which makes sense because he's not that good, but Egner plays him a ton, and I feel like he's got to start getting production up there. He is on his way to striking out way more times than he did in 2022. And this season, with all the star power that the Magic have, he's kind of stuck out to me as somebody who doesn't really fit on the roster too much. And I don't know why Egner insists on playing him as much as he does, but whatever. It's his roster, it's not mine. And I just hope that Kurdi can kind of get back to a similar production because, once again, super likable player. And now for the most improved guys, I have Jaxen Pearson. Now, Jaxen Pearson wasn't bad at all last year. In my opinion, he was super underrated. But he has just gotten so much better this year, and the stats don't lie. His pitching is incredible. He's at a 1.4 ERA with 22 strikeouts in 4 games. Last year in 1 game, he had a 3 ERA. His hitting has gotten better too, because now he's hitting 294 instead of 280, and has 3 home runs in halfway through the season compared to his 4 home runs, and has only struck out at the plate 9 times. So he's getting on base, or if not, he's at least making contact with the ball. He is incredible. I really am excited to see what he does in the future. He's starting to emerge as the second best player on this team, which is kind of crazy because Nick Saylor was pretty consistent, and he just hasn't been as good, even though he's been pretty decent. But Pearson is one of my favorite players on this team right now. Now at number 2, I have Trey Flood. I was a little bit confused why Trey Flood was named to the All-Star list until I looked at his stats, and yes, there is definitely something there. He was batting .091 last year, and this year he is batting 200. He also struck out 10 times last year and has only struck out 3 times, but the major improvement has been with his pitching. The eye test has shown that he has been better at the mound, and so do the stats. As last year in 4 games, he pitched a 4.5 ERA with 14 strikeouts. This year, he's at a .33 ERA with 20 strikeouts. And keep in mind, we're only halfway through the season. So this kid has been steadily getting better, and he's now at a point where he's probably the second or third best player on the Diamondbacks and the second best player on the mound for sure. So I'm excited to see what he does in the future. I think he looks really good right now, so it's all about consistency for him. At number 3, I have Brendan Jorgensen. Now, I just started watching MLW in 2022, so I kind of thought he was trash and I didn't really see what all the hype was about, but I think it's starting to come back this year, and I'm liking what he's doing. From the plate, he is batting .455, which is incredible. And last year, he wasn't batting too bad either at .288, but the jump is just major, and he's also hit 3 home runs compared to his just 1 home run last year, and we're only halfway through the season. His pitching has gotten much better too. I mean, he used to pitch a 5.86 ERA with 32 strikeouts, and this year he's at a 1.91 ERA with 29 strikeouts. So pretty much the same amount of strikeouts that he had last year with a much, much better ERA. Now, I wanted to put Zerleg on the list of people that have fallen off because, in my opinion, Zerleg's the one that's been holding back the Gators for these last few years. And then I realized that last year he didn't have a good season either, so I couldn't have put him on the list. But Jorgensen, I feel bad for him because there's guys on the roster who I feel like are just phoning it in, and he's not responsible for the Gators kind of playing badly. And that was my list for the people that have fallen off, the players that have not been playing as well this season compared to the players who have improved and gotten better this season. Let me know if you guys liked it down in the comments and what you want me to make next. I plan to make a bunch more of these type of videos, in the future. So yeah, appreciate y'all.